What is the difference between perimortem trauma and postmortem damage? Imagine finding a skeleton and trying to piece together what happened. Did the injuries happen before or after death? That's what forensic anthropologists work to figure out. Perimortem trauma means injuries that happen right around the time of death. These injuries occur when the bone is still fresh, moist, and elastic. Because of this, the bones tend to break in specific ways. For example, they might have clean, sharp edges or show signs of bending and crushing. These features tell us the bone was still alive and behaving like living tissue when it was injured. In contrast, postmortem damage happens after death. By this point, bones have dried out and become brittle. They break more easily and tend to crack with rough, jagged edges. The fractures look different from perimortem injuries because the bone is no longer flexible. Instead of clean breaks, you see more irregular, crumbly edges, often caused by environmental factors like soil pressure, animal activity, or handling during excavation. One way to tell the difference is by looking at the fracture edges. Perimortem fractures often show undulated or smooth edges, sometimes with flake marks. Postmortem fractures tend to be rough and jagged, with no signs of bending or plastic deformation. Sometimes, the color of the bone can help too. Fresh bone might be darker or have a different sheen compared to dry, weathered bone. Another key point is healing. If the injury shows signs of healing, it happened long before death. But if there are no signs of healing and the injury is consistent with fresh bone, it likely occurred around the time of death. Postmortem damage, of course, shows no healing because it happens after death. In forensic cases, distinguishing between these two types of damage is very important. It helps determine whether injuries were caused by violence, accidents, or environmental factors. For example, a clean, sharp fracture might suggest a weapon or blunt force used during life or at the moment of death. On the other hand, a jagged break with no signs of healing might be just postmortem damage from soil or animal activity. Understanding these differences also helps in studying human evolution and biological variation. It shows how bones respond to different forces and environments over time. So, when forensic anthropologists examine skeletal remains, they look carefully at fracture patterns, edges, and coloration to piece together the story behind the bones. In summary, perimortem trauma happens when the bone is still fresh and can tell us about injuries related to death. Postmortem damage occurs after death when bones are dry and brittle, often caused by external forces unrelated to the cause of death. Recognizing these differences helps us better understand the circumstances surrounding human remains and the stories they hold.